It's the 27th of December 2020, indeed the last Sunday of the year 2020. Do you have your New Year's resolutions yet? Tell us what are they at Purity_Museo and at KBC Channel 1 News. The hashtag is Family Matters KBC, because on the show tonight we help you make some of the lifestyle changes that you need come 2021. Lucy Chege, who is a nutritionist, a renowned nutritionist here in the country, will be helping us with that discussion: what to eat, what not to eat, and if you had made a lot of eating habits changes, then you do not have to lose any hope, because she will also be taking us through some tips on how to lose weight. And if you want to gain weight again, you do not want to miss this conversation exercise when to do this. Again, Family Matters KBC is our hashtag on this last Sunday of the year 2020. Let's begin this broadcast with the day's highlights.
All countries must invest in preparedness capacities to prevent, detect, and mitigate emergencies of all kinds.
The future is scary. The World Health Organization warns of a possible resurgence of a new strain of coronavirus. Kenya reports the lowest rate of coronavirus infection in almost 5 months, with 80 new cases confirmed in the last 24 hours. And a future with no hope for street families left in squalor as Kenyans celebrate the festive season. A very warm welcome to the broadcast. My name is Purity Museo, and Lensa Odingo is our sign language interpreter tonight. Let's begin our broadcast. And the World Health Organization is challenging governments to develop systems that help build resilient and enabled health systems that are able to reach those who are vulnerable in case of an outbreak of another pandemic. And WHO Director General Dr. Tedros Adhanom warns that the ongoing COVID-19 disease has had devastating health impact in the world, and again says that COVID-19 pandemic will not be the last. The first ever International Day of Epidemic Preparedness is being observed on Sunday, with the United Nations General Assembly calling on all its member states and other global organizations to mark December 27th every year as the International Day of Epidemic Preparedness in order to advocate for the importance of global partnership against epidemics. According to the World Health Organization, WHO, the COVID-19 pandemic has underscored the importance of investing in systems to prevent, detect, and respond to infectious disease outbreaks.
We must all learn the lessons the pandemic is teaching us. First, all countries must invest in preparedness capacities to prevent, detect, and mitigate emergencies of all kinds, whether they be natural occurring epidemics or deliberate events. Strong primary health care is especially important at the foundation of universal health coverage and at the eyes and ears of every health system.
WHO Director General Dr. Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus says that early preparedness on such pandemics will go a long way to averting devastating impacts like what was caused by the ongoing coronavirus pandemic.
True preparedness is not just a job of the health sector. It requires an all-of-government and all-of-society approach.
The International Day of Epidemic Preparedness aims to promote international awareness and action on the prevention of preparedness for and partnership against epidemics, the UN said. Meanwhile, cases of more contagious variant of COVID-19 first identified in the UK have been confirmed in several European countries as well as Canada and Japan. Japan is to ban most non-resident foreign nationals from entering the country for a month from Monday. The country has recorded 80 COVID-19 infections, the lowest in weeks, as the country continued to report a sustained decline in the COVID-19 daily infections. And in a statement from the Minister of Health, the number, which translates to a positivity rate of close to 5%, was detected from 1,601 samples screened in the last 24 hours, bringing to 95,923 the number of confirmed infections in the country. During a similar period, 425 patients recovered from the disease, while 3 other patients succumbed to coronavirus, bringing the cumulative fatalities to 1,658. The country's coronavirus positivity rate dropped to 4.9% Sunday, exactly below the 5% mark recommended by the World Health Organization for a country to declare a flat curve. The Ministry of Health on Sunday announced that 80 people tested positive for COVID-19 from a sample size of 1,601 tested in the last 24 hours, bringing to 95,923 the number of confirmed infections in the country. Nairobi still leads with 55 new infections, followed by Museo with 7 cases. Lamu recorded 5 cases, Kiambu 4, Murang'a 3, Kilifi 2, while Kajiado, Kericho, Kitui and Nakuru 1 case each. During a similar period, 425 patients recovered from the disease, 369 from the home-based care program, while 56 were discharged from various hospitals, taking total recoveries to 77,423. However, 3 patients have succumbed to the coronavirus, bringing the cumulative fatalities to 1,658. Currently, there are 651 patients admitted in various health facilities countrywide and 3,417 on home-based isolation and care. 38 patients are in intensive care unit ICU, while another 33 patients are separately on supplementary oxygen. The World Health Organization, WHO, has warned that the coronavirus crisis will not be the last and advises governments to try to improve their healthcare systems to avert any future crisis. And the first Sunday after Christmas was characterized by a low attendance of the faithful in most churches here in Nairobi compared to other Sundays. A spot check by KBC Channel 1 at the Holy Family Basilica and All Saints Cathedral depicted the reality, with only a reasonable number of Christians attending this Sunday service. The message to the congregants being cohesion among the population and believing in Jesus Christ in whatever challenge one is undergoing.
At the Holy Family Basilica, congregants sat observing the COVID-19 protocol, as has been the new norm since the pandemic began. Theme of the sermon being Feast of the Holy Family, that was delivered by the newly ordained Padre Charles Washira. Reverend Father Peter Kane said the church has had a difficult time since the pandemic set foot in Kenya, but are now coping and ensuring the faithful are safe.
Yeah, it's not simple nowadays during COVID-19, but through God who gives us every grace, we have done everything. We are trying to advise people to sanitize, keep a social distance, and of course use water, because it is exactly what the MOH is saying.
His message to Christians as 2020 ends:
You all a blessed end of 2020, a difficult year, and I wish you well as from Friday as we usher in the new year 2021. I promise you it will be a good year when you protect yourself and when you protect others.
Being the last Sunday of the year, most of the faithful present expressing gratitude.
Service ilikuwa mzuri, mahubiri ilikuwa mzuri, wakasema tukue na upendo, yani love.
Tunaomba Mwenyezi Mungu huu ugonjwa uweze ukaisha, maisha ya watu yaweze kubadilika, waweze kupata na ajira, waweze kulisha watoto wao na hata kuwasomesha, angalau turejelee maisha ya pale mbeleni.
At the All Saints Some of the services had to be cancelled and much owing to the few number of attendees. The state of affairs attributed to the big exodus of people from Nairobi to upcountry to celebrate Christmas. The theme of the sermon here was Jesus the Priest, with Christians being urged to emulate the Christ.
The message here at All Saints Cathedral as the year ends was very clear, that as Christians, we should not just sit there, but do something to move the gospel of Christ ahead. Reporting for Channel 1 News from All Saints Cathedral, here in Nairobi, I'm Ruth Wamboi.
Thank you, Ruth. And still on the prayer Sunday, hundreds of worshippers have trooped to Mount Kenya Forest for a ritual prayer seeking the intervention of God to end the coronavirus pandemic. The prayer meeting that brought together people of different shades from within and abroad saw many pray for peace to prevail in the country as Kenya edges to an electioneering period.
Led by their leader Samuel Kamitha, the faithfuls will make 7 stopovers in various locations around Mount Kenya as they pray for the nation's stability and tranquility. Donning blue, pink and white garments as well as ribbons and headscarves, they first made a stopover at Samson Corner area in Kirinyaga County, where they knelt by the roadside and prayed for hours as they faced Mount Kenya. Samuel Kamitha added that sprinkling holy water on the faithful to provide divine protection from evil as they proceeded to the holy mountain to worship their God.
Mungu ndiye aliumba dunia. Ukimaliza hiyo ndio unaona ukizunguka, ukisimama mara 7 na unazunguka mlima Kenya, ukipitia mkono wa kushoto, ukifika kwako. Kutoka wiki ya kwanza au siku ya mbele ni lazima maombi hayo yanajibiwa, kwa sababu uliomba maombi ukifuata sheria. Mungu ni sheria. God is law.
Some of the worshippers were overwhelmed by emotions and wept as they prayed, much to the amusement of onlookers, with some saying they had been making the pilgrimage every year for the last 8 years and had seen the hand of God every time they prayed.
Kila mwaka tarehe kama hii ya leo, tarehe 27, tunakutana kwa maombi ya mlima Kenya. Haya si maombi ya sasa, ni ya zamani sana. Na karibu manabii wote walikuwa wanajua juu ya maombi haya.
For Channel 1 News, I'm Ben Troinjue.
On our Facebook page, we have Kajaba. You tuned in to Channel 1 Weekend. Thank you, Hunter Manson. You also tuned in from Machakos County. Grace Atieno from Kakamega, and Muhammad Omwai. You tuned in from Isli, Nairobi. Keep talking to us and telling us where you tuned in from. Remember, on the show, we will be helping you make some important health lifestyle changes come 2021, or even as we look forward to making some of the resolutions. Remember, boosting your immunity and staying healthy is one of the important decisions you need to make moving forward. We have a coronavirus pandemic, which is an immunity disease, and you need to stay healthy. Our guest tonight is Lucy Chege, who is a nutritionist. She'll be joining us, and of course I had a sit down with her this week, and she'll be helping us unpack this dilemma to many people. How do you gain weight if you want to, and how do you lose if you wish to? At Purity_Museo and at KBC Channel 1 News, the hashtag Family Matters KBC. To some politics, Deputy President William Ruto says the next general election will be determined by issues and not tribal alliances. The Deputy President instead called on political leaders to shun ethnicity, division and hate, saying it risks polarizing the country even more. Speaking when he hosted a delegation from Trans Nzoia and Uasin Gishu counties in his Sugoi home on Sunday, the DP said days of tribal politics were gone and urged Kenyans not to be scared of those keen to sell their politics of fear to achieve their selfish ends.
Those who believe they are going to sell us fear and tribalism, their shame is in store for them. We are beyond there. We know that our problem is not tribalism. Our problem is not fear. We need hope for the future. And there exists that possibility. We have demonstrated before that as Kenyans we can come together, grow every business, make sure that there is opportunity for small enterprises, for us to grow the small enterprises into big business. And we can grow our tax base by ensuring that we grow the small businesses. And we can create enough jobs so that the many children we have in our homes can also have hope, get a job, and build their nation. That is where we are going. And that is my message for our nation as we go into 2021. We should not accept to be taken back.
Elsewhere, detectives from the Directorate of Criminal Investigations have arrested 5 suspects in connection with the murder of a Kenyan Defence Forces sergeant Saturday night in Nairobi's Utawala area. According to the DCI, the 38-year-old soldier was clobbered to death by a group of 6 people who were allegedly responding to a distress call from a couple that raised an alarm screaming for help, claiming they had been attacked by robbers.
On Saturday evening, a KDF sergeant is reported to have lost his life in the most bizarre manner after he was beaten and left for dead by a group of 6 people. It is reported that the 38-year-old soldier and his brother was walking home from Fahari Hotel in Nairobi's Utawala area, where they had made merry all evening. According to the Directorate of Criminal Investigations, along the way the deceased together with his brother came across a couple and an argument ensued after the deceased greeted the lady, much to the disgust of her fiancé. The DCI says the confrontation culminated to a stone-throwing match, pitting the couple on one side and the sergeant leading the charge on the other. According to the DCI, when the couple was overpowered, they raised alarms screaming for help, claiming they had been attacked by robbers. As a result, a mob of 6 men came to the couple's aid and clobbered the sergeant to death. His brother escaped by a whisker. 5 suspects have been arrested in connection with the murder and will be arraigned in court on Monday to answer to their crimes. In Kibra, security officers have recovered a pistol believed to have been used by a gang to terrorize area locals. The DCI says patrolling officers were attracted by screams of the lady who had been dropped off her phone by the 2 men. During the process, the suspects narrowly escaped into the slums after a hot pursuit. However, one of them dropped a pistol, which the DCI says has been secured for analysis by ballistic experts. Ben Chumba, reporting for Channel 1 News.
And a section of street families in Nairobi are seeking for hope and compassion this holiday season. The families claim they have endured the most trying moments in their lives and have no support network to give them a ray of hope for a better tomorrow.
A group of well-wishers played host to street families to a celebration at Jivanji Gardens in Nairobi Sunday. The invited guests danced themselves out, ate and made memories from this holiday season. We could notice Gladys Mdhoni, known by other name as Khadija. She is among the few ladies, mothers and wives who cross shoulders with their men counterpart in the street life. Khadija puts up at the Globe Roundabout. These are her beddings, and this part of Nairobi River mostly serves as washroom for her family. Khadija says she has fallen through the cracks in society and has no support network to pull her out from the squalor.
Nimekaa huku for 10 years na nimepitia mashida mingi huku. Kukimbiza huku na kanjo, unapigwa na karao, wanakushika, hakuna kitu umewafanyia. Sasa tunauliza, wenyewe tumeishi huku hiyo miaka yote. Mtu mwenye ako na huruma ajitolee, akuja tuokolee. Hata kama ni nyumba moja, sisi tutaishi tukiwa wasichana wote.
And as she seeks hope and love, she rides on any opportunity which makes her smile.
Sasa nashukuru, mimi niko na mtoto. Ndio huyo hapa. Na tuwezi kaa huku, hata yakuwe mkubwa bado niko huku. Siwezi taka kule maisha yenye nimepitia pia mimi. Mimi nataka tu niende hivyo nipate pesa. Ama mtu tu ajitolee tu, hata kama ni 2,000 zimetosha hizo, niende ninunue stuff zenye nataka kuuza ndio tengeneze sabuni niuze.
Nairobi, a flourishing, lush green city, is home to families living on the streets and parks, many with young children on a mission for survival through the harsh struggle.
Maybe others, they want to go back to school. Others, they have talents and they want to make them, work in their lives. So my main vision to come here is to try to talk to them one-on-one and try to know their lives, or how do they end up here in the streets? Do they want to go back to school? How can we help them to go back to school? Can we get initiatives who can support them, to study?
The story of Khadija is one with a show of resilience. She says a section of them would like to live a better life, but circumstances push them to where they are today. But all the same, they focus on a change in lifestyle. Irene Mchuma Odim, Channel 1 in the county of Nairobi.
And to an interesting report, they say culture is a pillar that holds society together and is a manifestation of true identity of a group of people. But with the invasion of Western civilization, the African continent, many societies have lost their identity, but not for the Tugen people within the Central Rift region that have held firm their marriage and circumcision traditions. Beatrice Gatonye highlights marriage process in the Tugen community.
Marriage is one of the events that is highly regarded in the Tugen community and is strictly observed. When two people of opposite sex decide to settle down in marriage, close family members come together to ensure the two are not related in blood, and also that the two families have not had sour relations before. The grandees, who are regarded as the custodian of history, play a key role in ensuring the two families qualify for a marriage reunion.
Wako serious kabisa na hii kimila, kwa sababu tuseme wakioana wale watu wako na uhusiano, kijana akiwa na uhusiano na msijana, wakioana chambo kibaya yaweza kutokea.
Once the two have the blessing to proceed, plans are made to have it blessed in a dowry ceremony. The dowry is paid in terms of livestock and money, which is agreed upon by the two families. The mother of the bride must also receive some form of payment in appreciation for raising her daughter to be morally upright. In all these negotiations, the groom is present but not allowed to speak, with the father steering the negotiations.
Hii sherehe kuna umuhimu kubwa sana kwa kikwetu hapa Tugen. Umuhimu ni kwamba inaleta uhusiano mzuri sana kati ya wazazi wa msijana na wazazi wa kijana.
Mzee Jacob Kendele says the culture has been followed since the time of the forefathers and has remained the tradition in Tugen community.
Tuhifadhi hii mila yetu, hasa hii mila ambayo tunafuatilia kwa makini sana watu ambao wanataka kuoana. Isiwe kuna uhusiano yeyote, kwa sababu hiyo uhusiano itakuja kuleta madhara watu hawataishi kwa njia mzuri.
On the material day, the two families exchanged the dowry along with feasting, song and dance.
Nilipewa zawadi mingi, nilipewa mablanketi, nikapewa ng'ombe, nikapewa kondoo na zawadi nyingi ambaye hawa watu waliniletea.
The long-held tradition has played a key role in creating an identity of the Tugen people, urging young people not to allow modernization erode the rich culture that has glued the community for generations. Beatrice Gatonyang-Etich, Channel 1 News.
Thank you so much, Betty, for that report. The Media Council of Kenya has condemned what it terms the continued attacks and harassment of journalists over the last few days by police officers. Media Council of Kenya Chief Executive Officer David Omoyo says the council has documented 2 instances over the last few weeks where Simon Ben from the Kenya Broadcasting Corporation based in Nakuru and Muriah Kariuki of Royal Media Services based in Nairobi were ill-treated and harassed by police officers. MCK is now calling for a stop and action on the perpetrators of attacks on journalists.
According to the Media Council of Kenya, it has on several occasions brought to the attention of the Police Inspector General Hilary Mutyambai the many pending cases of attacks against journalists reported in several police stations across the country, whose investigation have either stalled or have never taken off. The council says the latest being the 2 incidences where Simon Ben from the Kenya Broadcasting Corporation KBC based in Nakuru and Muriah Kariuki of Royal Media Services RMS based in Nairobi were harassed by police officers. Simon was assaulted along Nakuru-Nairobi highway for filming a confrontation between a motorist and a traffic police officer on the 23rd of December. Kariuki, on the other hand, was assaulted on the same day as he left work at Citizen TV. In a statement to the newsroom, Chief Executive Officer of the Media Council, David Omoyo, says such despicable actions by uniformed officers against journalists was a flagrant violation of human rights and press freedom, and therefore calls upon the relevant public agencies to investigate and prosecute the perpetrators as a matter of urgency. The council has written to IPOA with the details of the 2 cases calling for action into the 2 unfortunate incidences.
Time for a fast commercial break. Remember, we still have plenty more to come, including our discussion on family matters tonight, and our topic is healthy lifestyle amidst the COVID-19 pandemic. Have you been staying at home and gained a lot of weight, or even had little to put on your table? Then we will be unpacking that topic with my guest tonight, Lucy Chege. When we return, we have more news, including sports. Stay with us.
When the world changed, it made us go back to the simple joys and love the little things even more, like serving up your best, eating together, and sharing more. Now, we'll take nothing for granted and always remember to taste the simple joys. Enjoy the magic of Christmas with Coca-Cola.
Mpenzi mtazamaji, Christmas imekuja mapema na quick bid. Lucky bidda ako hapa, tumpe ndugu yake.
Ndio huyu anaitwa Penua. Heshimiwa na tumemheshimu.
Karibu.
Nduti ndio hii kifungu. Shika kifungu yako boss. Ulibidaje?
Niliingia kwa site ya quickbid.co.ke. Alafu nikafuata the process.
Oh yes.
Nikabid 158 na ndio nikaweza kubai nayo hii pikipiki.
Christmas hii hakuna kutembea. Ndio huyu mheshimiwa Kate. Tufanye aje? Kalia Nduti, ndio hii ni ya customer, hiyo ni yako. Sawa. Kalia Nduti, mpachukua helmet nini yako? Valia, leta nikushikie hii. Valia. Bas, quick bit wanahakikisha pia safety. Iko on point. Haya. Kalia Nduti, Kate. Si twende tushughulikie wengine. Si ndio? Twende tushughulikie wengine. Asanteni sana.
Jiunga na QuickBid ni rahisi. Enda kwenye M-Pesa, bonyeza paybill kisha weka business number 4032353. Kwenye account weka kodi ya bidhaa unayotaka na bidi yako ya chini zaidi. Kwa mfano TV 16. Kisha weka shilingi 20 tu kama idadi yako. Weka bidi yako pia kwenye www.quickbid.co.ke. Kumbuka, bidi ya chini zaidi ya kipekee ndio hununua. QuickBid, bidhaa bora kwa bei ya chini.
Simujifanya ni washindani. Ngoja siku ifike.
Mimi ni paka mwitu, nitakupa pura.
Ni usiku sasa, matatizo kuna nini?
Mtume! Nilikwambia wacha kuzungumza na mwanamke. She has no respect. Coming to my party. Wacha kunipiga? Nipige. Kuwa makini sana ule mke wako. Na usivyo tukugharimu.
Mamako mwenyewe. Wewe usiniudhi. Sawa, wewe ulimwona mamangu?
Huwezi kunisaidia? Nenda zako. To you too. Cheers.
Thank you so much for staying with us. You're watching Channel 1 Weekend. Former Kaloleni legislator Gonga Mwinga is dead. The family of the late ex-legislator has confirmed his passing on Sunday morning. The former Kaloleni MP had been admitted at Mombasa Hospital the last 1 week.
Gunga, a lawyer by profession, became the Member of Parliament for Kaloleni in 2013 on a Kadwasili ticket. However, his bid to recapture the seat in 2017 was thwarted by the current MP, Paul Katana. The politician has been vocal on leadership matters of the Coast region, where in 2015 he introduced the Community Land Bill in the National Assembly, which was to ensure the transfer of land operations from the national government to county governments.
Naitwa Gunga, nawakilisha wananchi wa Kaloleni. Orders zetu katika bunge la kitaifa zasema wazi ukitajwa na ujibu.
Gunga Baya, the eldest brother to the deceased and also the family spokesperson, said his brother's death has dealt a big blow to the family. He said burial preparations have already begun.
Tuko hapo Mombasa Hospital, tunasikia kuumia sana. Lakini mbali na hayo yote, hatujapanga mpangilio ya ndugu yetu jinsi vile ambavyo tutaweza kumpatia mkono burudani mpaka tufike nyumbani. Bado tuko na mzee ndiye atapanga kila kitu, tuone tunamna gani kwa heshima yake, baadaye tupeane mwelekeo. Kwa hivyo kama kuna lolote zaidi wakati ukipanga familia tuko nyumbani huko Chanagande, tutawajulisha ndugu zetu.
Paul Katana, the current Kaloleni MP, has promised to stand with the family at this difficult time as they make burial arrangements.
Hapa hospitali kuungana na familia kwa msiba huu na kupatia pole bibi yake, watoto wake, mamake, babake na ndugu zake, kwa sababu hali hii ni ngumu, na tutaendelea kushirikiana na familia kwa mipango ya mazishi. Kwa hivyo familia haijaketi na kupanga ni siku gani, lakini tunawapatia muda na tutaendelea kuketi nao na kuwasaidia pale Mwenyezi Mungu atatujalia. Kwa mimi tulishindana kisiasa, lakini bado tulikuwa tunaongea na kushughulikia mambo ya Kaloleni kwa pamoja.
Mombasa LSK chairman Matthew Nyabena, while eulogizing Gunga, said the late was a brave, dedicated lawyer, and as the law fraternity, they have lost a great colleague. The chairman also confirmed they have lost 4 lawyers from the Mombasa court in this year due to COVID-19 complications.
Tunaleta pole zetu kwa familia, na kama mawakili tumepoteza wakili ambaye alikuwa ni wakili tajika, wakili shupafu ambaye amefanya kazi nasi kama ya wakili karibu miaka 20. Ni pigo kubwa kwetu kwa sababu ni wakili kama wa 4 ambaye amefariki mwaka huu. Na wakati huu sisi hatutauliza maswali mengi, ila tunamshukuru Maulana kwa kutupa ndugu yetu Gunga kwa miaka hii ambayo ametupa, na kwa sasa amepumzika. na kwa hakika ni kilio kikubwa, lakini nitumaini kwamba akilala tunaombea familia faraja ya kipekee.
Reporting for Channel 1 News from Mombasa County, I'm Michael Mundiga.
And still in Mombasa County, the tourism industry has received a major boost with the arrival of 175 Polish tourists in Mombasa last evening, and players in the tourism sector describing the development as light at the end of the tunnel for the hospitality industry that has been heavily battered by the effects of COVID-19 pandemic.
The aircraft, a Boeing 737-800, flew in from Warsaw, Poland, landing at Moi International Airport, Mombasa, with 175 Polish tourist passengers for a 10-day holiday at the Kenyan coast and safari itinerary. The entire aircraft on lease to TUI Poland touched down at 8:40 p.m. Saturday to a water cannon salute by Kenya Airports Authority Fire Brigade. Kenya Tourism Federation Chairman Mohamed Hersi said that the arrival signaled hope for the Kenyan tourism sector that has suffered heavily due to the coronavirus pandemic.
But we hope and pray that the new strain of the new virus strain does not affect us in a negative way like what happened in March this year. So we are very optimistic as an industry and very positive that things will look up.
This is a very impressive day in terms of having to have our tourists back into Mombasa after a very long time. This is based on the COVID situation, and we're glad that some of them have chosen to come and visit, which is coming back as something that is long awaited for.
He said that if tourist numbers using the charter services continue to grow, there could be an additional charter flight rotation flying into Mombasa from Poland.
This particular flight is every Saturday, and we are looking forward to, hopefully if the numbers grow, we are looking at even getting probably 2 flights every day, every Saturday. And this will happen all the way to end of March. And that's the time when it will cease, because that's also the beginning of summer in Europe.
The veteran hotelier said that several hotels in the south coast and partly on the north coast will be benefiting from the arrival of the charter.
It's just not about Mombasa. Some of these clients are going to the north coast, and majority are actually going to Diani, which is Kwale County. And then when they do the safari, they all end up in Savo, which is Taita Taveta.
Kenya Airports Authority, KAA, Coast Regional Manager Peter Wafula said that KAA had put in place elaborate COVID-19 measures in place to ensure that all arriving passengers had valid negative COVID-19 certificates and followed standard health protocols as set out by the Ministry of Health.
We check for temperatures, we scan the COVID certificates, and we ensure that everybody who gets in has a COVID-free certificate, which is within the 96 hours as a requirement.
Suleiman Yeri, Channel 1 News.
Now, the Constitution of Kenya Amendment Bill 2020 proposes the amendments to the Higher Education Loans Board Act contained in the Public Finance Bill to give loanees a grace period of 4 years from the date of completion of their studies before they can start repayment. Our reporter Ben Chumba examines this proposal that will be realized if the Constitution of Kenya Amendment Bill 2020 is adopted.
The Constitution of Kenya Amendment Bill 2020 recommends amendments to several acts of the Public Finance Bill. One of the acts is the Higher Education Loans Board Act 1995. The bill seeks to amend the act to give loanees a grace period of 4 years from the date of completion of their studies before they can start repayment of the loans given to them. The bill requires loanees in informal employment to authorize their employer to deduct the loan repayment and remit it to the loans board in such a manner as the board may direct. The amendments further exempt loanees without a source of income from paying interest on loans advanced to them until such a time that the loanees start earning an income. The bill, however, indicates that an exemption to pay interest on a loan granted to loanees without a source of income shall not apply unless the loanee has made a written application to the board for exemption. All loanees shall, however, be required to inform the loans board of their contact address. Ben Chumba, reporting for Channel 1 News.
In other news, West Pokot County leaders have intensified campaigns against cattle rustling through engaging youth in sporting activities along the common borders. Elsewhere in Kitengela, Kajiado County, scores have been injured after border operators engaged police in running battles over death of a colleague. Details of this and more on news-making headlines in the counties.
For many years, West Pokot County has experienced conflict and banditry cases leading to loss of lives and property, especially along the common borders. And in an effort to counter the vice, area leaders have devised a number of engagements to keep the vulnerable groups, the youth, occupied. Led by Kacheliba Member of Parliament Mark Lomunokol, organized a football match at Kiwawa area of Pokot North, neighboring Uganda, where several youths participated.
Why we have engaged these people on the side of peace is because also the Marakwet and Pokot peace is relatively very nice now. It's going to go on very well. On Sunday, we were in the Highlands. We're also doing great issues of peace among Pokots and Marakwet.
Elsewhere in Kajiado County, scores have been injured after border operators engaged police in running battle over the death of their colleague. Transport along the Kitengela town was paralyzed for hours, causing a huge traffic snarl-up along the busy Nairobi-Namanga road as border riders blocked the road protesting the killing of their colleague who was knocked down by a speeding vehicle.
Wanatumia watu wa gari wanasema sisi watu wa pikipiki kuna makosa. Mimi ningeomba kama mtu wa pikipiki tuhudumiwe kama watu wengine.
Pata ajali hapa ya mtu wa pikipiki ambaye amegongwa na gari KBC Subaru ambaye imeweza kumuua, na ni pole sana kwa hiyo jamii yake. Vile vile huyo mtu dereva ambaye ameweza kumgonga ameenda stesheni na akalipa cash bill na akachiliwa hapo hapo.
And finally in Kisii County, vulnerable families along the Daranyambili area have received food donations for the festive season from Pefa Church. Widows, widowers and orphans had something to smile after Purity Ministries from abroad sent their consumable items through the church for distribution. Pastor Ashaf Prumis of Pefa Church urged the government to collaborate with the church in assisting the less fortunate.
Kwamba kanisa likiungana pamoja na serikali wanaweza sana wakasaidie hii kikundi cha mayatima na wajane, sio tu hapa kwetu kwa kanisa letu, lakini pia kwa nchi mzima.
The COVID-19 pandemic caused an unprecedented disruption to the public sector, transport sector. The curfew, inter-county movement restrictions, sanitizing, social distancing and wearing of face masks were measures aimed at curbing the spread of coronavirus, but their implementation dealt the public transport sector a heavy blow. Tonight on 2020 Year in Review, we focus on the new normal in the public transport sector.
2020 kicked off positively for the public transport operators, having cashed in on the back-to-school rush and the regular committees. This, however, did not last, as 2 weeks after Kenya reported its first COVID-19 case, President Uhuru Kenyatta ordered a countrywide curfew between 7 p.m. and 5 a.m. to tame the spread of coronavirus, with only essential service providers exempted from the curfew. Public transport sector was badly hit.
Gari ndio hakuna, halafu zenye ziko chache nauli iko juu sana.
Kutoka Nairobi kwenda mahali ingine kama Nakuru ama Eldoret ama Kitale, sasa sio kama miaka ingine juu ya hii ugonjwa. Juu sasa gari ikibeba ile pesa imebeba, haina pesa ya kuwekwa mafuta iende irudi. Juu gari saa ingine Disemba wakati kama huu gari huwa inaenda inarudi bila watu, dereva anakuja mwenyewe. Siku hizi imebadilika. Kwa hivyo gari ikibeba mara moja inaenda inakaa station ile ingine.
Si nzuri kwa sababu abiria wanasema kwamba labda ni gari, lakini kwa sisi pia hatupati sana kwa ajili kulingana na vile kila kitu tunapoteza 1,000.
Things worsened for the sector when on April 6th, 2020, the government imposed a 3-week ban on movement in and out of Nairobi, Kilifi, Kwale and Mombasa counties. Mandera followed suit soon after announcing a 30-day lockdown to prevent the spread of the coronavirus following confirmation of 2 cases in the region.
So far, the county has 8 cases, the latest being 2 cases of urban refugees. Now, this is a dangerous situation.
There are people on the road right now who this order is likely to catch them unaware, and as such we want to urge humane processing of the same as we firm up the lockdown process.
The national government further directed all public service vehicle operators to wear masks and block any passenger not wearing one from boarding. The operators were, among others, also required to observe social distance between passengers by carrying only 60% of their vehicle's capacity. 14-seater vehicles were only allowed to carry 8 passengers per trip. Strict hand washing by commuters while maintaining personal hygiene was also made a requirement for matatu users. Passengers were also advised to wear clothes which covered arms and legs to avoid skin contact while on transit. However, both commuters and PSV operators to some extent compromised some of these measures, such as social distancing, especially in the crowded Nairobi city, where 48% of the city's 4.7 million residents use matatus daily.
Juu hata sikibeba ile fare hawatateremsha. Na bado juu kuna shida ya corona, naona maoni yangu ni tuendelee na keep distance.
Hawakutravel, watu walisha travel kwa hii mwaka yote wakitravel. Wanafunzi na watu kwa to respect wanafunzi vile wanafunzi. Maybe wanafunzi wakifungua ndio maybe itaweza juu watu gari inabeba watu 30, watu 38. Watu 26.
The rising number of infections resulted in subsequent extensions of the cessation of movement in and out of Nairobi, Mombasa, Kilifi and Kwale counties for a total of 3 months, which lapsed on July 7th.
The spike we are witnessing has not just erupted out of nowhere. It has in part been triggered by wanton violations of containment protocols and advice from our experts. I am told that bars are neither requiring their patrons to observe social distancing nor asking them to wear masks, and they seem to be under the impression that sanitization at the door is a sufficient requirement for service. That once Jerusalem gets in, all measures go out.
Enforcement of these measures also weighed heavily on long-distance truckers as neighboring countries also closed their borders. Truck drivers were initially subjected to mandatory COVID-19 tests at the border points before this changed to presentation of clearance certificates from the country of origin.
Na polisi wanasema hawaruhusu gari za Kitanzania kuingia nchini Kenya.
Sasa tulipotoka boda hatujapewa taarifa yoyote ya kuidhinisha kwamba haturuhusiwi kuingia Nairobi. Tumeruhusiwa, tumepewa dokumenti zote.
However, the delay in clearance at the one-stop border posts of Malaba on the Ugandan side and Namanga on the Tanzanian side, as well as the uneven application of the measures across borders, degenerated into a diplomatic row between Kenya and her neighbors.
Hapa ni kuumia, tunaumia, sio dini la tuko naye hapa. Na tungependa hii safari yetu iendelee. Pindi tunapotembea kila mahali unaposimama unaambiwa dereva wa Kenya yuko na corona. Sasa tunashangaa vipimo hivi tunapimwa ni vya kazi gani?
Kwa sasa hivi tumefungiwa mahoteli huko. Ukivuka hapa kama uko na gasi yako umejipanga, ukifika pale Bustema wanakunyang'anya gasi. Wanakuambia unakuja kulipua nchi yetu. Chakula ile umebeba wanakuibia. Unaambiwa utembee hivyo hivyo mpaka urudi kwenye.
Hata mahali ya kulala uruhusi kulala. Unaambiwa ni ukitoka boda ni uende.
This then we are working with the county commissioners to have them held in a certain area away from the border point where they are not allowed to mingle with the community. So we're working closely with the county commissioners to make sure that these holding areas are well manned.
Enoch Sikolia, Citizen TV.
The row resulted in traffic snarl-ups which stretched tens of kilometers from the border points where truck drivers spent several days to be cleared. Truck drivers from Kenya were also not at ease with the directive that they hand over their trucks to their counterparts across the border for fear of damage, pilferage or loss of their cargo. Even as cessation of movement in 4 counties was lifted and the curfew period shortened, compliance with these measures had a cost effect on business overheads, which some operators passed on to passengers by hiking the fares. For Year in Review, my name is Irene Mchuma Odim.
And LEAP, a smartphone technique, is improving skills and knowledge for frontline community health volunteers, CHVs, working in the rural areas in Kenya in the fight against the coronavirus pandemic. The mobile learning application involves remote training of community health workers by SMS and comes in handy when they visit people in their homes in remote parts of the country. Patrick Malakai is a community health volunteer working in Nairobi's Kibera Mashimoni area. Community health workers like Patrick are always in the front line to reach isolated families and meet their unique needs.
We offer some treatment services. That is like preparation of oral rehydration solutions. That is what we can do at the community level. And also, I can say that we do some supply of family planning commodities. That is the pills, so that we come and collect them at the community, at the facility level, then we can distribute at the household level. Yeah.
Community health volunteers, known as CHVs, are playing a vital role in the fight against the coronavirus pandemic in Kenya.
We always give priority to people who are pregnant, people who have children under 5, and people who have chronic conditions. And when I mention chronic conditions, we have people who have diabetes, hypertension, cancer. Some of these conditions will require you to get inside the household for you to help that patient, especially now that even some of them cannot access the facility. So we have to come and collect the medication at the facility level and we take them to the household level. So that has forced us to really endanger ourselves and even endanger the people we are serving.
For community health volunteers working in informal settlements, the burden of work has increased. They now have to ensure that members of their communities are aware on how to protect themselves and their families from contracting the deadly COVID-19 disease, and training has never been more important. To fill this gap, a new mobile technique is equipping hundreds of community health nurses in Kenya's most remote areas.
A message is sent to you using an SMS, introducing you to a topic, and from that topic you're able to interchange using to IVR, that is the recorded audios, and also using the SMSs. Okay, just listen to the teaching, and the teachings are in form of maybe an interview, role play, so you're able to relate. It's not just stories. Yeah.
The training begins with the CHV receiving a personalized greeting. The CHV then selects their preference language to continue.
The training is supposed to take about 5 to 6 days. That is around 1 week. And you're going to listen to audios, listen to SMSs of situations that take place in our community and we're able to relate to. So through that, we're able to interact with what is being taught and able to learn. And also, we are also given assignment to go back to the community and interact with the community members on issues of COVID-19.
This technique, LEAP, is changing their lives by improving the quality of care they deliver to the people they serve.
The latest training we received is about contact tracing. Yeah, how we can trace individuals that have been identified to be having COVID-19. So it says, hello dear learner, and welcome to this topic. In this topic, you will learn what to do if there is a confirmed case or a suspected case of coronavirus in the community. Yeah. So it will take you down the learning objectives of that topic. So by the end of this topic, you'll be able to understand and describe when someone should self-monitor and quarantine at home. That is one objective. The second when someone should seek medical attention and follow the referral protocols. That is objective 2. So it has only 2 objectives. So it goes ahead to tell you that, dear learner, now for you to continue with that topic, dear learner, to start the first activity of this subtopic, understanding coronavirus disease symptoms and care seeking needs, please, there is an USSD, there is a number that has been provided. So we dial that and we are able to listen to a recorded audio.
Every morning, CHVs in this particular area meet here at the conference room at Amref Health Facility in Kibera to remind themselves of a few tips before meeting their patients.
Right now, we have a situation where we have the pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic. So for the last 2 or 3 months, community health volunteers have been trained on COVID-19. So it depends on also the situation, how it is, and also putting into mind that as a community health volunteers, we collect data at the community level. We're able to identify the conditions that our community is suffering from, and from that we can have an informed decision what is really ailing our community, and we can be trained on that.
At their fingertips, the frontline soldiers can diagnose difficult cases such as COVID-19 symptoms and see what action to take. Currently, they are sensitizing their communities on the COVID-19 safety measures.
Jambo lingine pia tumezungumzia mambo ya social distance. Wewe kwa kiwewe ukizingatia mandhari yetu ya hapa Kibera.
The volunteers plan workloads and targets, such as how many homes to visit. They share pictures of complications with their supervisors. They get guidance on the spot and connect with peers on WhatsApp chat groups made just for them.
In this community, there is that percentage which also believes there is no COVID. So you have to deal with this issue until you empower them and believe that there is that COVID-19. And remember, we are just volunteers. And you have to balance between your family and the work in the community. And being our people, we can't leave these people because we have that passion of helping these people.
The technique allows community health volunteers to take courses anywhere, anytime, to improve their knowledge and education and advance their careers.
One of the challenges we're having is that some of us do not have the right protective gears, even as we are doing this work. So I think that has been a very big challenge to us.
And the workload is very high, of which each community health volunteer has 100 households to cater for, which is very difficult for us.
The new mobile technique was launched by Amref Health Africa's Institute of Capacity Development in collaboration with the Elsevier Foundation to facilitate and advance digital training of healthcare workers in Africa. The World Health Organization (WHO) estimates a projected shortfall of 18 million health workers by 2030, mostly in low and lower middle income countries. Purity Museo, Channel 1 News in Kibera, Nairobi County. And Family Matters is coming up after the sports news. Just keep talking to us. Do you have any New Year's resolutions yet? And Lucy Chege will be helping us make some important decisions when it comes to healthy lifestyle. So do stay tuned for that. Keep tweeting at Purity_Museo and at KBC Channel 1 News, the hashtag Family Matters KBC. In sports, Gor Mahia will have an uphill task this Wednesday when they take on CR Belouizdad of Algeria in the return leg of the CAF Champions League. The team will be seeking to overturn a 6-0 thrashing after they had a difficult night last night in Algeria. Amir Seyud netted a hard trick to help the Algerian Giants ruthlessly hammer Kogalo at the Stade du 5 Juliet Stadium.
Gor Mahia were trailing 4-0 at halftime after midfielder Amir Sayud opened the score in 7 minutes after kickoff before forward Hamza Belahul doubled up the lead 4 minutes later. Sayud grabbed his brace in the 20th minute from the spot as Labitabi ensured the Algerian champions headed to the break with a comfortable 4 goals up after netting 3 minutes to the breather. Sayud completed his hat-trick in the 52nd minute before Mickey Ngombo sealed the big win in the 67th minute. Kogalo will need to claim a 7-0 win in the return leg this Wednesday in order to reach the elusive group stages of the African Champions League. A loss will see the Kenyan side relegated to the CAF Confederation Cup playoff round. Frederick Muki for Channel 1 Sports.
Jomvu MP Badi Twalib has challenged the Football Kenya Federation FKF to go to the grassroots to scout for talents for international and national leagues. Badi was speaking during the finals of the Jomvu Sports Extravaganza in Miritini, where Bahati FC were crowned champions after beating Golden Boys 3-1 on post-match penalties and pocketed 100,000 shillings. Runners-up walked away with trophies, medals and 75,000 Kenya shillings.
Katika mambo ya kuchagua ma players wa national team, ma coaches wale wakubwa ni muhimu watembee hapa nyanjani. Tukiangalia kuna vijana wazuri sana ambao wanaweza kucheza mpira hapa. Talanta hizi haziwezi kuonekana mpaka wewe ni who is who, ama wewe unajulikana na nani ndio wewe utapeleka pale. Tumeona Tanzania, Rais Magufuli juzi alisema haiwezekani national team ikawa ni muungano wa Yanga na Simba peke yake. Kwa hivyo hivi sasa yaonekana kuwa ni kweli katika mashina kama hapa tuweza kutoa wachezaji ambao wako sawa sawa.
Ambalo awali ilikuwa ni eneo bunge moja tu la Changamwe, lakini zaidi na vile
at Old Trafford with a hard-earned 1-0 victory over Burnley at Elland Road. Patrick Bamford won an early penalty which he ruthlessly dispatched to earn Leeds their 3rd home win of the season. Victory for the hosts lifts them to 11th position, place in the Premier League, while Burnley remains in the 16th position.
And a rejuvenated Arsenal recorded an important victory over Chelsea to end their 7-game run without a win in the Premier League and ease the pressure on boss Mikel Arteta.
Lacazette against Edouard Mendy. Wonderful penalty. And when they need him most, Alexandre Lacazette delivers. Super spot kick into the corner. Mendy with no chance, and Arsenal have a much-deserved and much-needed lead. Xhaka is the Swiss. It's a scintillating goal from Granit Xhaka, back in the team, answering his critics and delivering big time for his manager. Faith repaid.
Oh, it's a great strike, and he looked so... He didn't even look like he was going to take it, did he? A little puff of air, he blew out, composed himself. What a strike.
Here's Bayern. Smith Rowe.
Oh,
Wonderful effort and a truly sensational goal from Bukayo Saka. That is just simply breathtaking from the youngster. So much talent. Saka's delivery. That one could have gone anywhere. Falls to El Neni. Crossbar is still shuddering. That's not keen not to commit and make a dangerous tackle, allowing Pulisic to run in. And Abraham chests one in. Here we go. The knee, I think, might. Ooh,
yeah,
maybe not.
I think his toe might be keeping him onside there.
And indeed so. We do have a goal. Arsenal have got to be mightily careful.
It was a well-deserved victory for Arsenal, who moved up to 14th on the table.
Right, I'm laughing at Chelsea fans. The Bureau of the FIFA Council has cancelled the 2021 editions of the Men's FIFA Under-20 World Cup and FIFA Under-17 World Cup and appointed Indonesia and Peru respectively, who were due to host the tournaments in 2021 as the host for the 2023 editions. This as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, which has presented challenges for the hosting of international sporting events and have a too restrictive effect on international travel. FIFA has therefore regularly consulted the relevant stakeholders, including the host member of associations as well as the confederations involved in both tournaments originally scheduled to take place in 2021.
He'll be left-footed, and he will score, and it will be Korea Republic who take the first advantage of this final. 40 yards out, it will be clipped into the danger area. A lot of red shirts around, but it dropped for Bolets. A return here, it's an equalising goal. Supriyaha justifies his inclusion by Ukraine. The European team are back level there, and it was a simple... Ukraine are the winners of the Under-20 World Cup, wouldn't you just know it?
LeBron James and Anthony Davis led the Los Angeles Lakers to a comfortable 138-115 victory over the Dallas Mavericks in an NBA match that was played last night. Davis scored 28 points and had 8 rebounds, while James had 22 points, 10 assists and 7 rebounds for the defending NBA champions. James has now scored 383 points in games on Christmas Day, moving him into second all-time above Oscar Robertson. Only late Lakers legend Kobe Bryant has scored more with 395. It is the 10th victory for the four-time NBA champion James in Christmas Day games, tying the record held by former Miami Heat teammate Deion Wade.
Elaborating right now, then yes. Well, James throws it up, Davis throws it down. The Lakers are clearly giving it 100. They lost more games, 5 points or less, 19 of them, than any team in the league. Powell lines that one up, and Powell, back in January, he's a remarkable recovery. Caldwell Pope using the left hand against the roll.
Yes, when you're the best player, you have a responsibility to do that also.
Off the turnover, James to Davis. Davis gets inside, count it, and one. Got hit. Grabs the rebound.
Mavericks trying to post Doncic as Finney-Smith hits a 3 in transition.
To Cook also in the game with Horton Tucker. Horton Tucker step back 3. Got it. Horton Tucker.
That brings us to the end of sports news, but not the end of Channel 1 Weekend, because Family Matters is coming up ahead, you do not want to miss this conversation. It's all about some important healthy lifestyle decisions that you need to make in 2021. I had a sit down with a nutritionist, Lucy Chege. I learned a lot. I actually realized if you need to lose weight, not a lot of exercise that will do for you, but cutting on your carbohydrates. So she was taking me through what you need to eat each hour, when to skip any meal, is it even advisable? Lucy Chege coming up with all those answers for those questions that you might be having at Purity_Museo and at KBC Channel 1 News. It's also the last bulletin, the last Sunday 2020, and my last bulletin for this year 2020. It's been great having your company from January, December. Your company has been everything, and without you we could not have made it this far. To the entire team that has made this bulletin and this broadcast and this year a success, including of course our super directors, our super producers. We have been having amazing teams. Helen, we also have had Wasilo, Jacqueline Wasilo, who have been leading this broadcast. We really appreciate their contribution, and the entire technical team. My camera person, as always, in front of me right here, I'll be mentioning Masharia. All right, thank you so much all for your time. So Family Matters is coming up shortly after the weather forecast. Do take care of yourselves. Of course, the country has witnessed a significant drop in the COVID-19 cases, now at 4.9% positivity rate, but this does not mean that it's on holiday. Let's stay safe, wash your hands, sanitize, and don't forget to put on your mask. Thank you once again. Up next is weather forecast. Family Matters. Do enjoy the rest of our programming, and God bless.
Good evening and a very warm welcome to Channel 1 Weather Updates. My name is Irene Mchuma Odem. The whole country has been covered with partly cloudy conditions, save for a few areas in the Nyanza region, and that is over the southwestern parts where there are showers accompanied by thunderstorms, and that is how the night will be. Tomorrow, most parts of the country will experience mainly sun intervals right from the northeastern to the northwestern, and a few areas in the county of Garissa, the coastal strip, the capital, and counties around the region. The Lake Basin region and western sector will experience sunny intervals, and these will also stretch towards the afternoon. The only region that will experience showers accompanied by thunderstorms will be in Eldoret. The northeastern, the northwestern will experience mainly sunny intervals. The coastal strip will experience a bit of cloudiness, but mainly sunny intervals will prevail. The capital will be sunny, equally to the counties around the region, including Machakos, Makindu, Voi, and Taita Taveta. Let's cross over to temperatures. The highest across the country will be experienced in Mandera and Garissa at 37 degrees Celsius. The capital tonight is experiencing highs of 15 degrees Celsius, but tomorrow we'll experience highs of 28 degrees Celsius. Let's now cross the borders and have a look at the international forecast. Do have a good night and a blessed week ahead.
Good evening, and thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Family Matters. My name is Purity Museo. Now, COVID-19 restrictions has changed so much of people's aspects, from weddings, vacations, and so actually people working from home, and this has enabled them to pick one or two characters which involve their change of lifestyle in terms of their eating habit. When you talk about eating habit, the times for the eating times, and of course the quantity, the amount, and the quality of food that they ought to eat. Some people actually have not had enough because of the economic impact of COVID-19, but now how do we adjust or recover from whatever habits that we picked, eating habits that we picked, whether eating a lot lot or having little to put on your table. On the show tonight, we speak with Lucy Chege, who is a nutritionist, and she'll be telling us how do we recover from maybe you gained a lot of weight or you lost a lot of weight. Then let's have that conversation. Lucy, it's good to speak to you. And we are speaking to you, Lucy, at a time when the COVID-19 pandemic has really changed people's behavior. And we will not ignore the fact that even the eating habits and the healthy lifestyles have also changed as well. Maybe from where you sit as an expert, would you agree with me that people's behavior, whether negatively or positively, has changed in terms of maintaining or following the nutritional advice from experts like you?
Yeah, thank you for having me. Actually, everything have changed from the food choices that we make. Some people have a lot, while some people even don't have anything to put on their table. So yes, the eating habits, our lifestyle has really changed.
So let's begin with a healthy lifestyle. Let's define a healthy lifestyle so that when we talk about unhealthy eating habits, then we know what we are comparing the unhealthy lifestyles with.
When you talk about healthy lifestyles, these are the choices, the positive choices that we make on what to eat, what to do, in order to prevent some of the preventable diseases. Yes.
And how do you tell that someone is living a healthy lifestyle?
You see, in healthy lifestyle, it's wide. There is mental health is part of the healthy lifestyle. So there is mental health. And maybe for us as nutritionists, we are more concerned. Maybe we are more visual. I can look at you and maybe judge you. Maybe you are obese, you have a normal BMI, you are overweight. So sometimes it's visual, but sometimes it's from what you tell me, like a conversation on what you've been eating, your food choices. It's a range of like your eating habits.
Do we have some physical characteristics of being able to distinguish someone who is eating healthy and unhealthy at the same time?
Judging from your looks, I don't like judging people from their looks. Maybe after doing my assessment, that's when I can be able to tell you. But looking at you and telling you that maybe you're not living a healthy lifestyle, that maybe will be mean on my side.
Let's talk about now the unhealthy eating habits that as a nutritionist you've been able to pick and say this one, you can single out and say these ones is what we call unhealthy eating habits.
Too much junk and the processed foods. From junk, I mean the chipos, the candies, all those highly processed foods. That is one of the unhealthy eating habits that we have. Then we tend to concentrate more on carbohydrates. Like when you take your plate, potatoes, like let me give an example of a plate. Like half of your plate should be vegetables. Then we don't practice something I call the mindful eating. We just eat. Let me say we just eat.
Okay. The dangers of practicing unhealthy eating, what does it mean? Would it mean to your body, to your health? Tell us the dangers so that we know why we need to run away from the junk food lifestyle.
For example, when you consume much salt and high sodium stuff, you're putting yourself at a risk of a range of cardiovascular diseases like hypertension. When there is high sodium concentration in your bloodstream, chances of you developing hypertension are very high. Then when you're taking carbohydrates, and mostly we tend to take those that are highly refined, and they like occupy half of our plate. That means that you're at a higher risk of developing disease like diabetes, because when there is too much sugar in your body, insulin it is a fat storing hormone. So the more glucose in your body will be stored in your body as fat.
An ideal lifestyle, an ideal healthy lifestyle, how is it like?
Just eating right. Know your portioning. Eat range of eat fruits and vegetables generously. Don't eat them. They are very healthy, less in calories, but they are nutrient-dense. Then things like maybe exercising, limiting the intake of processed foods, and all those refined stuff.
When you're telling me to eat right, what should be in my mind for breakfast, for lunch, for dinner? Because most people are most people skip breakfast because they're rushing somewhere and then eat heavily during lunchtime and in the evening.
Like in the morning, you're supposed to like your body has been starving like for the whole night. So I expect your plate to have a protein, to have a carbohydrate because you need energy to use during the day, and also the fruits and vegetables. That's an ideal way of starting your day. Have all that your body requires: the protein for the body building, carbohydrate to give you energy, and the vegetables and fruits.
Where do you classify tea? Because most people have to take tea in the morning.
I think tea is just like you're taking something to nourish yourself.
So what should we have in big, large quantity, and what should be minimized? Take us through that.
Like the plate model, half of the plate should be occupied by the vegetables and fruits. That's how you get all the nutrients that your body requires. And you can't add weight. Some people are maybe afraid of adding more weight. You can't add weight on consuming more vegetables and fruits. They are less in calories, but nutrient-dense. Then the other quarter should have the carbohydrates. And I mostly recommend the high fiber carbohydrates. These are like the brown rice, the brown ugali, the brown chapati, because they are high in fiber. And the fiber in it will act as a buffer when it comes to glucose metabolism. Then the other quarter should be occupied by your protein, either animal source, these are the meat, the chicken, the fish, or the plant-based, like the lentils, the ndengu, all those.
Let's talk about why it's important for anyone to consider, to put into consideration what they are eating in the evening before they retire to bed.
After eating, take an hour or two before you sleep. Give your body that time for metabolism. It is healthy. Don't just, and also it's very uncomfortable when you just eat and sleep. Just give yourself like an hour or two before you sleep after eating.
So Lucy, when you mention that this is what you're supposed to be eating, but there are people who skip. They will either skip lunch, they will either skip breakfast and say, I'll compensate during this time. Is that advisable?
When you skip and say that you will compensate, you'll find yourself eating more. So I don't see any reason why you should skip any meal. Just eat right. Like I always say, mind your portion. You don't have to skip anything.
And that brings me to the next question. The fact that the COVID-19 pandemic had so many people staying at home and working from home. So that means you have less activities that you are doing. Do you say that eating habits should have changed at that level? And what is your advice? What should have been the ideal way of now adapting to the new normal?
So it's maybe a matter of maybe education, knowing what you require and what your body also requires, yes, and how you spend the rest of your day. Yeah. You can be in the house but active.
So let's now put into consideration this category of people that they have been staying at home and of course chose the unhealthy lifestyles there are, and now they are maybe having all these effects that you are talking about. Is there a way to undo the whole experience?
Yeah, it's not too late. You can choose a healthy lifestyle. You can decide to check how you've been eating your plate model. And also, you've touched something on detoxification. That's a natural way that our body gets rid of the toxins in our body. You don't have to kill yourself with taking green tea.
So, Lucy, when you say that we don't have to use any unnatural ways of detoxifying our bodies, so is there, what do we need to do to help our bodies now begin this process? And what are some of the, do you want to say or to mean that when you begin now adopting the healthy lifestyle, then the body by itself will begin the detoxification process? Or what exactly do you mean by that?
It starts when you start taking care of these organs, like the kidney, like taking less salt or the sodium, drinking plenty of fluids, limiting your alcohol consumption. You see, like in alcohol, every time you consume alcohol, a liver cell is destroyed. And a liver cell is destroyed, of course, you are limiting its functions. So to take care of these organs, the kidneys, the liver, the skin, limit your alcohol consumption, limit the intake of salt and sodium containing foods and such things.
What are some of the types of foods? Maybe you can mention examples of them that constitutes carbohydrates, proteins, and fruits, of course, we know, and vegetables we do, but at least for proteins and carbohydrates.
For carbohydrates, I mean mostly known the whites, Yes, the normal rice that we take, the chapati, ugali, ndoma, ngwashe, all those are carbohydrates, and they are the energy-giving foods, and they are the ones that contribute to the weight gain. People tend to confuse gaining weight with proteins, that have been consuming more protein, that's why I've been adding weight. But weight gain is from the carbohydrates that we've been consuming, because they are the ones that are giving the body more energy. Yeah, the potatoes, all those. Then protein, we have the plant-based proteins and we have the animal-based protein. The animal-based is like the red meat, the fish, chicken, all those. But try to limit the consumption of red meat. That if you must consume red meat, go for the lean. Don't go for the fatty. I know sometimes it's sweet, the fatty meat, but that's why you get the saturated fats. These are fats that they raise the bad cholesterol in our body, putting us at higher risk of developing the cardiovascular diseases. Maybe the animal source protein you can consume maybe twice in a week, then the rest of the days try to consume the plant-based protein. These are the lentils, the njahe, dengu, all those.
So you said carbohydrates, they give energy to your body. How about the proteins?
Proteins, they are the bodybuilding, build their muscles and to maintain our muscles. Yeah.
The process of losing weight, there are people who go for the things that you mentioned, their natural way. But what is the natural way of losing weight? Is there any advice on that?
It's a process. It can take even 6 months, a year, 2 years. Just be slow and steady in the process. And the natural way of losing weight is the foods we eat. You don't have to go buy all the stuff that are in the market. Just observe the foods that you are eating. You can adopt a low carbohydrate diet. When you eat a low carbohydrate diet, the body starts burning the stored energy, the stored fat for energy. Yes. Then limit the fatty foods, the processed, eat whole meal foods. These are, like I had said, the brown ugali, the rice, they have higher satiety. They have that higher satiety. They limit the number of times that you eat during the day.
I got a point that if you want to lose weight, then you need to reduce your intake of carbohydrates. But there are people who want to gain weight. Yeah. So what do they need to check on?
Maybe in gaining weight, that's not that much common, but maybe the reason for losing like the excess weight, it could be due to you are eating less, but exercising more. So you are tending to burn more than you consume. Yes. So try to, as much as you are taking energy-giving foods, try also to check your physical activity. You might be overdoing it, burning more calories in your body.
Let's talk about eating disorders. There are people who would want to follow what advice that nutritionists are giving, but they will not get any appetite of eating too much food as advised. Others will eat a lot, like it's not just their will to do this, but they cannot help it. They are eating too much. So do we have these eating disorders, and which ones are they?
When it comes to eating disorders, it's more of a food addiction. One of it, it's called anorexia nervosa. These are people that they view themselves as overweight, even though they are severely, dangerously underweight. There is that intense fear of gaining weight. Like you're underweight, but you see yourself as overweight. So they can eat more or less, and after eating, they have these induction behaviors like purging. They can either take laxatives or diuretics. They can even induce vomiting because there's that fear of gaining weight. Then we have another category we call the bulimia nervosa. These are people that they eat a lot of food. Like in a short period of time, they can consume like a lot of food. Then after that, there is that pity. You just pity yourself. Now I've just eaten, I'll gain weight, I'm a bad person, and such. Then we have another character, the binge eaters. These are I call it mindless eating. You just eat and eat and eat.
Are you trying to say there's nothing like loss of appetite? It's just like a disorder, like someone thinks that I'm going to gain a lot of weight if I eat. Do we have anything like I don't have appetite or excess appetite for food?
Yeah, there is loss of appetite, but I can be able to tell maybe from a history. of your food intake. I can be able to tell this someone is anorexic or it's just a loss of appetite.
How can you help these categories of people that you mentioned, those that have disorders, genuinely disorders, and those that really do not have appetite or have too much appetite? How do you control that?
It's like these eating disorders, they are mental. You just need to sit with someone, like tell them the dangers. Maybe for the anorexia nervosa, those people that have intense fear of gaining weight, just educate them on the dangers of being underweight. They could be susceptible to many diseases. So it's just a matter of talking to them, and it's a journey. It's a journey. You can't just, it's not a one-way thing.
There are people who say that if you're not getting enough sleep, then you will end up losing your appetite. Do we have any relationship between healthy lifestyle and sleep?
As you see, like in sleep, once you sleep like it regulates the hormones that are involved in hunger and satiety. When you sleep more, the hormone that is involved in appetite is suppressed. But when you tend maybe to spend most of the hours awake, the appetite hormone is much higher and you'll tend to eat more. So you'd find that those people that maybe they have the issues with sleep, like the insomnia, that weight gain in them. Yeah, of course, there is that relationship between sleep and health.
And as an expert, do you advocate for any, because out here in the market there are a lot of products, some people saying that they are natural products of either gaining weight or losing weight. Do you maybe recommend any of them, or you are for eat right, exercise?
Yeah, I know them. Yes. I don't recommend any, just go the natural way. Because when you gained weight, you didn't go for those products. So just go to the drawing board, look for what you did wrong, then start losing weight the right way.
People who keep on posting their results even on social media saying, I took this after 2 weeks, then these are my results. For someone who's not started that habit, would you say they have any health impact once used for long or after some time? Or why should you, or how do you convince someone to go natural way, which will take longer than this other person who is just using these items, and in 2 weeks they are all looking nice?
That magical, maybe losing weight journey, maybe whether it's a pill, it's a concoction you're taking, you're consuming it direct to your body. You'll end up, maybe later in life, you'll end up having any toxin that you're taking. It must be eliminated either by your liver or your kidney. And when there is too much of these toxins, later in life, you'll have maybe problems with your kidneys, your liver. So you're not doing yourself justice by taking these unnatural ways of losing weight. Yeah, just go natural.
Okay, I know you're not a policy maker, but let me ask you this question on, during this COVID-19, of course, the economy has affected people negatively, and we've seen, especially those living in slums and those not having a lot of income, their lifestyle has been disrupted. Especially those that are living in urban setups. So they are going for days without a meal. They are going, or just a meal in a day. How can these people be helped? And number two, maybe to help the policymakers understand the severity of this change in lifestyle. What does it mean to their health? And of course, that means the physical health and the mental health.
Of course, when there is that maybe lack of food, the deficiency, once people maybe they lack food, of course, their productivity will be affected. And lower the productivity of the people, even the economy of the country will be affected. So maybe sharing, donations. If you have maybe, you don't have to have much for you to help. If you can afford maybe four plates of food, you can just give to that person that is struggling to put something on their table. So it's a matter of sharing and also donation to those people that are really needy.
2 more questions as we wind up. Because of lack of food, you find that most families will not be able to have carbohydrate, at the same time they have proteins and vegetables and fruits. So maybe in a week you will end up having or consuming only proteins or even only carbohydrates. What does this mean? What is the danger of not having a balanced diet?
One is deficiency. Maybe when you tend to take much carbohydrate, which is very common, carbohydrates, maybe they are cheaper compared to the proteins, that this condition that we call the protein energy malnutrition. You see the marasmus, the kwashiorkor, in children, because there is that deficiency disease that we'll find in people.
Let's revisit the importance of healthy lifestyle. And this time round, maybe you can address both for your body, for your mind, protection of diseases. In general, what is the importance? What is the need for? What does it mean for a nation to have a healthy eating lifestyle?
The importance of healthy eating lifestyle, one, you protect yourself from diseases, mostly the non-communicable diseases. These are the cancer, the diabetes, and the cardiovascular diseases. Another thing, you'll be fit. Once you are having all the nutrients that your body requires, you'll be fit. Even there'll be that higher productivity in the economy.
And when you're in the journey of losing weight, do you focus more on exercise? Because people exercise a lot, and when they come back, they eat just anything and say, I'm doing some exercise. So what would you consider more put emphasis on, healthy lifestyle or exercise?
Exercise contributes only 20% of the total weight loss. So it's 80% from the foods that you're consuming and 20% from the exercise that you're doing. So you can't do without. You must eat healthy, the right portioning, and you must also focus on the exercises for you to lose weight.
Okay, maybe you can leave us with, we revisit the tips on healthy lifestyle, the do's and don'ts. Let's talk about the do's and don'ts and then we wind up.
Eat less salt and sodium containing foods. Eat less of the saturated fats. These are the fats that you get from the chipo, all those, the fatty meat. Drink plenty of water, practice mindful eating, and plan your meals in advance. It will give you room for diversification and variety. Yeah.
And maybe do you have, let's say, a website or on all those tips where someone, if they want to have a look at the tips, they can go and refer, especially on what you can eat?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram at Lucy Chege M, Twitter Lucy Chege M, and on my Facebook page, Lucy Chege. When you visit there, you'll have all those healthy tips.
Okay, and that has been Lucy Chege, who is a nutritionist, of course, just talking about healthy lifestyle and why we should consider going back to our lifestyles, because we all understand COVID-19 had disrupted our lifestyles and, of course, our eating habits. And now she says you can always go back to that lifestyle by eating right. It's all about eating right. There's no magic bullet to losing weight, gaining weight. Just eat right and exercise little. Thank you so much once again. My name is Purity Museo. Do enjoy the rest of our programming, and God bless.
Vera Beauty College. Vera Beauty and Fashion College, with branches in Nairobi, Eldoret, Thika, and Meru. Did you know that we are a TVET approved institution? We offer courses in fashion design, interior design and soft furnishing, event decoration, flower arrangement, event planning, hairdressing, barbering and dreadlocks, beauty therapy, makeup, nail technology, spa massages, teaching skills, TOT, solo business management, and many more. Register now and visit our website on www.verabeautycollege.com. You can also call on 0725 923 550 Nairobi branch, 0728 087 689 Eldoret branch, 0722 22 7428 Thika branch, 0725 000 706 Meru branch. Vera Beauty and Fashion College, a TVET approved institution.
on the next episode of Ashoka.
Your doubt is very right. There is a mystery behind Acharya Chanakya's death, which the world is unaware of. Are you serious? But you should not hold my husband responsible for that. He was compelled to do it.
Your husband? The royal physician, what has he done?
You?
If you do not help me, then it's going to be impossible for me. But if you help me, then I'll be able to set you free too.
Mtazamaji na msikilizaji, ninakusalimu katika jina la Yesu Kristo. Hujambo. Kwa majina yangu ni Bishop Daniel Chege. Ninahudumu na kanisa la Revival Fellowship and Praise Ministry na ninapatikana katika mji wa Narok. Ukija mahali pale utaweza kutupata. Nimekuja siku ya leo ili niweze kukuletea neno la faraja ili tuweze kufarijiana pamoja na wewe. Na neno letu linatoka katika kitabu cha Zaburi 112 na tutaanzia mstari wa 6 tuweze kusikia neno la Bwana vile litakavyo tufariji na litakavyo tuelezea. Nikubalia niweze kukusomea, ninajua utabarikiwa. Neno la Bwana linasema, kwa maana hautaondoshwa kamwe, mwenye haki hukumbukwa milele. Neno la Bwana linasema vizuri, mtazamaji wangu na msikilizaji wangu, siku ya leo ya kwamba wewe hautaondoshwa kamwe. Ni kweli kuna mambo unayepitia siku ya leo, lakini nimekuja na neno la faraja. Nimekuja kukutia moyo, kukuambia usijari, maana Bwana hatakubali uweze kuondoshwa kwa yale unayepitia. Bwana Yesu asifiwe. Ni kweli kwa wakati huu pengine wewe ni mgonjwa na ndani ya mawazo yako unafikiria kana kwamba utaenda, kana kwamba utaweza kufa, lakini nimekuja na neno la kukutabiria siku ya leo. Nimekuja kukutangazia ya kwamba hautaondoshwa katika jina la Yesu, maana tunawachilia uponyaji juu ya maisha yako. Haijalishi kama uko nyumbani na wewe ni mgonjwa ama wewe uko hospitalini, lakini nimekuja na neno la kukutabiria, nimekuja na neno la kukufariji, nimekuja na neno kutoka kwa Mungu, maana sauti ya Bwana inasema vizuri siku ya leo kupitia mtumishi wake ya kwamba wewe hautaondoshwa. Hebu kajitie moyo, hebu ukafarijike, maana hautaondoshwa. Pengine biashara yako siku ya leo iko chini, unaona kana kwamba wewe utaondoshwa katika hiyo biashara, lakini niko na neno la faraja, maana Bwana ametia neno ndani ya moyo wangu.